Hello and welcome to another PA Matches cast. I'm Brian Purkiss and welcome to another match of the Know Your Foe Do-Si-Do tournament hosted by TheWrongCat. I'll be joined here by Oath Alliance for this cast.
Alright, any predictions for this one, Brian?
I don't know. I've been playing a bit with Andreas lately. He's pretty new to the Planetary Annihilation scene as well as the realm, but he has gotten pretty darn good pretty quick. So I don't know. It's difficult to say, but I still tend to think that Mered is probably the stronger player.
Well, hopefully lag won't cause him to lose this round.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's pretty ridiculous the issues that he's been having. I don't know if you've been paying attention or whatever, but the Mered has been having a bunch of issues as of late with clicking, where sometimes it'll take him 5, 10, or 15 seconds for a click to register, which makes playing PA very difficult. And we have the spawns, and Andreas is in the north and Mered on the south.
Well,
So
that's a nice switch up.
yeah, but that does mean that Andreas does have the spawn advantage.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see how Mered reacts to this, since he's been playing on the north the entire time, as far as I've seen.
Yeah, it does mean that the expansions on the east and west sides, those little bubbles, are going to be very important for him to claim. Thankfully, though, the one on the west is pretty easy for him to get to. Andreas wants to watch the World Cup.
Well, if he wins, he's got to fight another round.
Vehicle factory first from Andreas as well as Mered.
Yep, looks like both are going pretty standard.
Yeah. Now that everybody's been playing the same match over and over, getting into a groove and kind of doing the same thing over and over, at least for the start.
Yep. Actually, I think it'd be interesting to possibly play with 2 or 3 people, spawning north and south in a sort of MOBA type game.
This definitely would be a very interesting 4v or 2v2 or even 3v3 match or map. And Mered's running into lag again. That is very unfortunate. I really hate when matches are decided because of bugs, especially when they're new bugs that didn't exist in previous builds.
Yep.
Such is the nature of playing an early access game. And don't get me wrong, if this is your first time checking out Planetary Annihilation, I love PA. I highly recommend giving it a go. You just got to remember it is an early access game and it is not complete yet.
Yep, and even some games that are released still have bad bugs. Need we talk about Battlefield 4?
Yeah.
Anyways, but some expansions going on here. Looks like Mered is going ahead and getting up a radar, and hopefully we'll see him then expand to metal.
And he does have a superior economy, and Andreas is now actually in the negatives by quite a bit. Oh, and it looks like Mered built that radar a little... Oh, it's not even finished yet. Maybe not. But he's stalling for eco, and then he's going to have the radar draining his eco even further. He's going to need to turn that off until he gets his energy under control.
Yeah, that's something really important. Otherwise, he's going to have a hard time building anything. And it looks like he's added another engineer to building metal, which drains his economy even quicker. And both have tanked their economy. Looks like Mered is slightly running better. Now he's at 100%.
Yeah, Mered's hurting for energy, but his economy still is overall doing better than Andreas.
Yeah, Andreas is actually hitting both at times.
And it looks like players are starting... Nope, Andreas is dipping back down again.
Yeah, Andreas has 3 engineers on building power, and his commander building a bot factory.
And the metal fabricators are working on 2 different metal extractors. That's a big mistake. You always want to try and keep your fabricators focusing on the same building, as it gets everything up faster, and it grants you access to more economy faster.
Yep. Looks like he's using his commander for really just building his factories, which actually the better idea would be to use his commander to build things like energy and stuff to start with.
Now, he is starting to get energy under control, though, which Andreas has got a bot factory out. That is a very surprising move. First time I've seen a bot factory in this tournament.
Yep, looks like he's getting bot fabricators out. It'll be interesting to see what he does with those. Looks like it may be going to grab all of the metal to his east.
Yeah, got the build queue set up in that direction. So it looks like that's what he's doing. Oh, some nice raiding from Mered with those bombers. He took out a bunch of fabricators and stopped Andreas's power expansion.
Yep. He had 3 fabricators over there, if I remember correctly.
Yep, so Andreas is going to need to change his build queue and... What the bomb glitch? Bombs were dropped directly on top of those expanding bot fabricators. They fell down, and then they rose up, then they moved to the side, and then they landed on the metal extractor.
Yeah, they're kind of an interesting bug. They're like trying to lock onto something. So they're like missile bombs.
I'm going to have to report that bug.
Looks like Mered's going to be working on expanding to his west, to that western expansion.
Very, very good. He desperately is going to need that expansion if he wants to be able to keep up with Andreas's economy. As you can see, Mered is already starting to fall behind, and he is floating economy. But now he's got a bunch of fabricators working on a vehicle factory, so hopefully he'll be able to get that under control.
Yep, he's got, 6 factories queued up, or being worked on in his base. And he's got 1 vehicle factory being worked on in that western expansion.
But Andreas does have more units than Mered, and they're neck and neck for factories. But Andreas does have the superior economy now.
Yep, and he's actually starting to get up more factories than before.
Yeah, actually, Andreas, never mind. He doesn't have the superior economy. He has more metal, but he's wasting more metal. And he also has less energy.
Yep, and both players are negative in energy, so really utilization is the important part. As long as Mered doesn't go into the red and metal, he's actually doing better than Andreas.
Yeah. You just can't waste economy. Even though Andreas has 192 metal per second, you might as well only have like 120 metal per second because he's floating so much eco. He's just wasting it, and once it's gone, you can't recover it. It's better to be when it comes to energy, you always want to be positive, but when it comes to metal, it's generally better to be a little negative rather than a little positive.
Yep, and it looks like Mered is expanding to that eastern part as well, that eastern
Very
expansion.
Nice. Good move. A lot of players have been just kind of ignoring those little bubbles. Either that or they claim it, and then if it dies, then they don't do anything about it.
Yep.
Well, and some fabricators are heading out from Andreas towards that eastern expansion.
It's going to be interesting to see who hits who first.
And there's a fighter escorting those fabricators, which could take out those air fabbers. Needs to finish that vehicle factory very quickly.
Oh, very, very quickly. He's right now on the edge because that fighter is not doing anything at the moment.
Technically, that fighter can see them. It's just not in the guard radius yet. If it drifts that way, then there it goes.
There it goes, and oh, right before the factory is finished.
If Mered had
Ouch.
gotten that fabricator, and this is what I'm talking about, you need to focus down on one thing first. If Mered had gotten both of the second fabricator to assist the first fabricator, and then had the first fabricator then queue up some energy, he would have had that factory complete.
Yeah, completely. But now he's lost that expansion,
Yep,
and both those buildings will deconstruct here in a minute or two.
Yep, and Andreas now has his economy under control, and Mered is now in the negatives for metal and energy. Definitely not looking good for Mered. And with how well he did in the past, I'm really thinking more and more that these spawns are fairly unfair, which is unfortunate. Unfortunately, though, Mered is focusing on building more factories when he needs to be focusing on getting more metal by either stepping up to T2 or claiming the more metal spots, except he has no metal spots, while Andreas has more metal and a bunch of metal spots still available to claim.
Yeah, and actually what I'd like to see him do is just take one or two of those air fabricators and just step right across the pond into that southern peninsula and build a few factories there. I'm not sure why he isn't. There's no defenses there at all. If he could get some factories in there, he could build up a nice force and just run right into Andreas.
Yep, but in the meantime, Mered's got some raiding bumblebees over on the eastern side taking out metal extractors. They did quite a bit of damage, including taking out those bot fabbers, and they managed to survive and finishing off the rest of those metal extractors.
And Andres is actually working on getting an advanced air factory out. It's just about completed here.
Yep, definitely not looking good for Mered.
Yep, he needs to step up his aerial game. But it looks like he's on an advanced factory here in towards the west of his base.
Advanced vehicles. If you can get out those vanguards, you might be able to turn it around.
Yep, and it looks like he's going for orbital as well.
Oh yeah, orbital's worked out very well for him in the past. Unfortunately, though, he's pretty negative in economy, and he's got a bunch of units headed his way.
Yep, he's also got advanced air setup as well. So I'm going to be interested to see how he plays this. Good move by Mered, working on getting a wall up, and hopefully he'll get that lead before those few
lots of bumblebees heading out. Taking out a bunch of bombers. If he can get up an orbital factory and get one anchor over each of those choke points, then he could potentially turn it around.
Oh, definitely.
Either way, it's definitely going to be close. And now that other force is starting to get into the metal field, but here come the bombers.
Yep, and they're going to wreck that day.
I really wish the bombing runs would have the bombers kind of fly more like that and just kind of saturate the entire area, rather than like what they did on the first pass, where they all just converged on one unit and dropped everything all on one.
Yeah, I think that's really the difference between attack an area and then just to move to an area. When they move to an area, they just all pick the closest target they can and drop bombs on it. But when you tell them to attack within an area, they all start choosing different targets.
Oh, and Hornets are now starting to bombard Mered's base, hurting his economy. It's not looking good for Mered.
Bombers coming in, and it looks like they tried to go for the commander, and they did some damage, but not enough. They did about quarter damage.
Way too many spinners.
Yep.
Definitely looks like the beginning of the end for Mered.
Yeah, he needs to get a lot more fighters up at this moment.
Which I just want to call attention to this map once again. Mered has one of these side expansions, and used to have all of the metal inside his main area, and he still had a smaller economy than Andreas, who does not have one of the side expansion and does not have all of the metal in his main area.
Oh, looks like Hornets are coming in
Yep, they've been
to that western base.
to the western
And-
base as well.
And it looks like he's trying to get up anti-air.
It goes
The
up,
anti-air's not
but
firing.
not those anti-airs just do not have enough range.
And there goes.
There goes the orbital
His-
factory, which was pretty much his only hope at this point, and now his economy is just wrecked, and units are moving in, and yeah, it's GG. But those Hornets are not targeting the factory; they're targeting the unit that's being built on the factory. It's a bug I've seen, and it's a very annoying one.
And he's able to take down one of those.
But in come more. I'm not a huge fan of the new Hornet. It's just a flying tactical missile, or a flying catapult.
Oh, interesting bug.
Yep, the dancing
out.
tactical missiles. Mered's calling for a rematch, but unfortunately, since the match is pretty much over, I don't think we can have a rematch.
I'm actually pretty sure that the tournament rules state no rematches.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of doesn't really matter. The more I'm looking at this map and the more I've watched how players play, person who gets the North Pole spawn just has a huge advantage. And it's pretty much over for Mered. He's got an economy that's almost 1/3 of the size of Andreas. And he's got units moving in on all sides and can't do anything about those Hornets. So
He's finally
unfortunately,
got his advanced vehicle factory out, though.
that's been done for a while. It's just been sitting idle. Unfortunately, it just looks like Mered is losing because of bad spawn as well as the clicking bug that he's been dealing with. I'd be very curious to see these two players go head to head on a better map as well as without these bugs. Even if rehost were allowed, I think it's just way too late in the match to be able to have a rehost.
Yeah. I mean, we're 17 minutes in, and if it was probably something that just started at the very beginning, possibly, but this late in.
Yeah. If he had called for a rehost at the start of the match because of lag, I think I would have been fine with bending the rules and going with that, but at this point, yeah, it can't really happen. Very, very unfortunate for Mered. Like I said, he looks like he's losing because of lag as well as bad spawns. And unfortunately, it's not really much we can do about it. It's just a matter of time it's just a matter of time as we watch these Hornets pick apart Mered's base, and since Andreas has complete air superiority, there is literally nothing you can do against these Hornets.
Yep, he is getting some fighters in, but it looks like he is able to take down all of those Hornets that were attacking.
But more
are
coming. These Hornets are just reminding me of the gunship patch, where it was a race to get T2 air first, and as soon as whoever got T2 air first and got gunships up first won.
To be honest, though, Mir didn't really. he was building a mix of air units, and he didn't really counter air with air.
That is true, but with the way that it's currently balanced, if you lose air superiority, there is nothing you can do to regain it, because these guys can just sit outside of your base, pick off your air factories, and none of your defenses can reach them. The only way to kill these are with hummingbirds, and if you don't if you don't have more hummingbirds than your opponent, you're never going to get more.
Yep. The only thing that could have saved him was anchors, but he lost that. We might see a rage quit.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't self-destructed his commander already.
Yep.
And there he goes.
Finally goes down. Suicide. And that is the end of this round, and actually the end of our cast.
Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and drop me a like and a subscribe. I'll see you next time.